So the thing about self-employed individuals, you don't get a W-2, there's no payroll company. How do you pay your payroll taxes? Well, you do it through self-employment taxes, which is probably the worst marketing idea ever, to call them self-employment taxes, because it sounds like you get an extra punishment for being self-employed. So you pay your income taxes on your Form 1040, but you also pay your self-employment taxes, which are basically more or less just like payroll taxes. Okay. So, so then the question is, if you qualify for sick leave, and or you're taking care of a qualified family member, how do you get this refundable credit? So the way you figure it out is you figure out on your 2020 net earnings for the year. And if you are self-employed, you're probably very familiar with this. Basically, you take your revenue, you get rid of cost of goods sold if you sell stuff, and then also any of your operational expenses, you have a profit, which is, by the way, what your self-employment tax is based on. Okay, so then after that, you do this crazy calculation. Actually, you know what, Rachel, could you go to the next slide? Yeah, I think the calculation is on, okay. All right, so I guess we don't have the calculation. So the main thing, and here's the biggest pitfall that I see, is you're talking about your 2020 profit, but you're not working. So it is a formula based on your 2020 profit. You take them out. So let's say you normally have $200,000 in revenue minus your expenses. You have $100,000 left. This year, 2020, you only have $100,000 in revenue minus $50,000. You have $50,000 left. That's the number that you use to figure out the amount of earnings that you had for that year. And so then that's the calculation. Let me just scroll down for the specific amount. Okay, so you qualify for sick leave, and you qualify for and of course, as I'm trying to scroll down, I missed the calculation.
Divided by 260, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. Well, the amount divided by 260. Oh, here we go. Okay. So there's a certain amount. So let's talk about the qualified sick leave example. Okay. So you have to, for the qualified sick leave, it's based on $200 a day that you're sick, or 67% of your average daily self-employment income. So that means in our example, you take the $50,000 divided by 260, and then you multiply that by 67%. Whichever is less, $200 or 67% of that amount, that's the amount that you get as a refundable credit. Okay, so I guess bottom line, think of this as an additional amount that you can take advantage of. I think what you're going to find is it'll be much less the amount that you think it's going to be. Now, the real key is right now you're in the middle of 2020. You need the money now. You don't have a good way of getting this money until you file your income tax return for 2020, which you're going to do in 2021. So people that have been self-employed for a long time and are profitable, they have to make an estimated payroll tax payment. An estimated tax payment every quarter. This year, the April 15th one was delayed to July 15th. So what you can do is instead you can lower your estimate that you are going to pay the IRS to take advantage of this refundable credit. And that's the key to taking advantage of this credit.
It's Simon here.
Yeah.
I have a question for Abraham. And my question is, you have self-employed individuals who are eligible for the form of sick leave wage or family leave, or you're eligible for a credit that's related to family and sick leave. Is that correct? And if so, do you have to have any kind of proof, since you're self-employed, that you were sick or that you took care of a sick person? Do you understand my question?
Yes. Okay, so this is Abraham. It's the same as the employer guidelines. Okay, so first of all, let's say you're not an essential business. In that situation, you're under a quarantine or isolation order, and you're told to shut down. That would apply. Let's say you are an essential business. In that situation, you'd need a healthcare provider. I mean, it says has been advised by a healthcare provider, but you probably want at least a doctor's note.
Can I add to
the
that?
third option, yeah, go ahead.
Because what you're saying, Abraham, is correct about the sick leave and the family leave itself. There is additional language in the statute, which I'm just going to pull up to get a precise answer for you, about a need.
Sure.
Yeah, it says allow no credit for this section. That's the self-employers, unless the individual maintains documentation to establish. Oh, actually, that's only going to the being a self-employed individual. Okay, so I apologize. They don't ask for any more stringent documentation about being sick. You just have to have additional or adequate documentation that you're self-employed. That's what's in the statute, and then everything Abraham said is correct about documenting your sickness. Sorry.
Right. So, okay. So if you are an essential business, I think that would be the key where you need a doctor's note.